Good evening, this is Orson Welles, introducing the films in this festival of the silence. And this time we have a comedy for you by the king of comedy. That was his title, and in fact, that's what he called his autobiography, Mack Sennett. In fact, it says here in my notes that he only produced a couple of feature-length comedies, Tilly's Punctured Romance, and the film you're going to see now, the diverting hymn of Americana and backstage Hollywood, The Extra Girl. The stars are Mabel Normand and Ralph Graves. I think you're going to enjoy it. But first, let's take a few minutes to see how the Sennett style had started. The style which we often heard belittled as the slapstick, when actually all these extremely physical gags are extremely complicated to execute, very hairy to produce. Now here you have Mack Sennett, seated in a characteristically frantic moment at his studio desk. He'd actually started, as a boy soprano. He tried burlesque for a while, and then in 1909 drifted into the Biograph movie studio on 14th Street in New York City. And there everyone, including D.W. Griffith, did a little bit of everything. And Sennett wrote, directed, and filled in as an actor. Here he is in 1909, playing the butler. Shortly afterwards, Sennett started his own studio in California, backed by two gamblers to whom he owed $100. Fatty Arbuckle, Sennett himself in the middle here, and Mabel Normand were the studio's busiest stars. The cornerstone of Sennett's fun factor was to be the Keystone Cop. The idea began developing in Sennett's mind in 1913. First emerged on the screen as the Bangville Police. The Bangville Police were a country constabulary. City uniforms and the police desk would have come the following year. But the antics were already unmistakably those of the Keystone Cop. Now, in 1915, the Keystone Cops themselves. The plot? A girl and a boy are trying to elope by boat, taking with them a justice of the peace. Her father, played by Ford Sterling, wants to stop the ceremony. He decides the only way to stop it is to drain the whole lake. Actually, the fact that the Los Angeles Park Department had announced they were going to empty the lake was Sennett's reason for shooting the picture in the first place. It was an ingenious way of getting a spectacular effect at low cost. Too busy producing to play anything but bits. The Keystone Cop in the next shot is Sennett himself. Sennett comedies were usually two reels of organized chaos, from which not even the stars were exempt. That's Mabel again, wallowing in the glorious mud. In 1914, Sennett produced Hollywood's first full-length comedy feature, Tilly's Punctured Romance. The star, Marie Dressler. That time she was a bigger name than Charlie Chaplin. She played a supporting role, along with Mabel Normand. Miss Dressler had come west to reenact the part of the jilted heiress that she so successfully created on the stage, but Sennett was in awe of neither the star nor the original play, and he soon reshaped Philly into typical slapstick comedy, complete with the famous police desk and the pratfall and the Keystone Cops. In spite of her strenuous efforts in Philly, Marie Dressler didn't find a career in silent film. It would be 15 years before she became one of the greats of talking pictures in Min and Bill, Tugboat Annie. Sennett's comics had to be acrobats, too. Watch these cops dive in the surf. Sennett directed Philly himself. However, he and Chaplin, whose stature was growing rapidly around now, began to have conflicting ideas on how to create comedy, and Chaplin soon started directing as well as starring in Sennett two-reelers. Charlie's costume was already established by now, although his screen character was still forming. This aggressive and inconsiderate little man would soon mellow into the familiar, lovable tramp. Great Sennett Keystone heavy man. Aware that Sennett underestimated his value, Chaplin was soon to put on his hat and coat and leave him. Turning out 2 or 3 comedies a week took a lot of ingenuity, and Sennett had some of that. For instance, to give the impression of wide spaces with chase sequences, he devised a revolving cyclorama, a painted background that moved past the actors who worked on treadmills. And of course, the wind machine saw heavy service. Another Sennett trademark and his most attractively packaged product is, of course, the bathing beauty. This, by the way, was the beginning of the era of the gag cycles. Never before had so much girl been exposed to so many people. The costumes were condemned by indignant women's clubs, but moviegoers loved them. Realism was not a Sennett requirement, just as long as the girls were pretty and the comics funny-looking like Ben Turpin. The more improbable the locale, the more the fun. Gloria Swanson broke into films when she was only 16 and was soon working with Sennett. She wasn't one of the bathing girls, but she was beautiful and she was versatile, equally at home, fending off the attentions of Wallace Beery, or flirting with Bobby Burnham. Off-screen, Miss Swanson was soon to be Beery's wife, and on-screen, she was soon to be Cecil B. DeMille's leading star. Carol Lombard also started in the Sennett beauty department. But his special protege was Mabel Norman, a madcap whose life was an incessant whirl. Ice cream for breakfast and parties far into the night. The opposite of her role in The Extra Girl.